top lane Jayce. So a lot of drafts can come through, and that's why CJ had to go pretty standard with their last 2 picks. Looks like the Lulu will be a support Lulu.
Which means that it's going to be a jungle Gragas and a top Jayce if this Cassiopeia gets locked in.
Tricky draft from Ever8, but it's the sort of tricky draft where sometimes you can trick yourselves by flexing too far. We'll wait and see. Malrang definitely most known for his Graves Lee Sin. He Lee spanned away, so they had to go somewhere, and would have been a tier 2 jungle pick, whatever you say. Interesting draft. So we will not see the mid lane Jayce that Septed ran wild with during the playoffs. End result is once again this LeBlanc versus Cassiopeia matchup that has been a favorite of the players today.
They're really taking their time swapping this Jayce and the Gragas. The clock's running down.
You think there could be a mid lane, jungle Jayce? Hasn't been Sin in professional play.
They'd have to swap it right now.
Wow.
Okay. Well, I have to scratch off my sheet here for another time. So
jungle
Gragas.
Jayce is something that has been Sin in solo queue, that has been messed around with, but in professional play, it was the meme around Katie Rolster that Score had to play it in the jungle to open up the 5-way flex.
Yeah.
They're gonna wait a minute, first jungle Jayce of all things, Malrang's aggression.
It was a bit of a mess up. This jungle Jayce is throwing me for a loop, Papa Smithy. I don't know what's happening anymore. My world is crumbling around me.
My favorite part is that Winged is the grizzled veteran for sure, has been around the block for a long time, and he's like, wait, what?
I've already been awake for 12 hours. I'm just, I don't even know what to think anymore with this pickup. I mean, I'm really excited. Most people know I'm a very big fan of Jayce.
You kind of look like Jayce.
Well, thank you.
That is a compliment, actually.
That's because I can't.
If I said you kind of look like Gragas, like, wait,
yeah.
what?
Huh?
I wonder what skill you start with is interesting too. Could just be W to clear the Raptors.
Yeah, maybe. Otherwise, the AoE from the Shock Blast?
I mean, Q is really not very much.
I mean, CJ, they're just going to go for the push here.
I mean, why wouldn't you invade? It's
there's
a jungle
nothing
Jayce.
that you can really do.
It
is the Shock Blast, and he's going to lose out on pretty much all of the little ones. He's only picked up 1 minion thus far.
Big commitment. Good AoE on the side of Ever8, so you have to be careful here if you're CJ.
Well, he doesn't have to use the Smite at least, so doesn't get slowed down in that regard, but otherwise loses out on quite a bit.
A lot of us are learning here. Innovative new pick on the side of Ever8 winners, actually flexing the Jayce to the jungle. Of all the flexes we considered, this was not one of them. As we're going to look at some of the leash ranges.
We were figuring out some pretty complicated swaps too, but this
I mean, the draft was literally Graves, Jayce, Ashe, and Lulu at that juncture, so a lot could happen. Cassiopeia squared it up, and we thought we were getting the jungle Jayce. So jungle Gragas and a top Jayce, so at least I feel vindicated that Jayce is really not a helper champion, because it's not. Saw him play on multiple teams, and he wasn't known for his top lane carries like a So1, for example, or Smeb more famously.
Well, we're seeing something new here as Malrang continues through the jungle. So far, having a decent time of it. Had to use the Smite there on the blue buff.
And if I had to create an analogy for jungle Jayce when it comes to what he does from the jungle, he's not a level 6 jungler like Graves, given that his level 6 is not actually a meaningful skill or new skill. The big thing is, he actually reminds me a bit of Lee Sin, because your burst combo on ganks is very, very high. Accelerated Shock Blast into human form QE with gap close is 300 damage even early from the jungle. So clearing the jungle, not necessarily trivial, but good amount of on-hit lifesteal coming through from the starting jungle item. It is gimmicky for sure, but it is the sort of pick that surprises people in solo queue, and CJ have come in trying to be practiced, tried to be very normal, and this is the epitome of the opposite coming through from Ever8.
It definitely is. I mean, he's managing it rather well so far.
Again, Malrang is outstandingly talented when it comes to micro skill. He's so young. I mean, consider that when Score was famously playing in the original OGN tournament, played 5 years ago in February, Malrang was 12. He was actually 11 when the tournament started and turned 12 during the course of that tournament. Such has been the amount of time that the professional scene has been going in Korea.
Such a little babby.
That's a long time to practice your mechanics, though, Kilios.
This is true.
Not actually sure when he first started playing, but you can best believe it wasn't recently.
Lots of hours at the PC Bong.
Wonder what he told his mother he was doing.
I'm studying.
I'm on Encarta. That doesn't work in 2017. I'm on Wikipedia.
Yep. Well, for now, things going to start off rather slowly.
We say this a lot, and it is a small tournament.
Well, I say this a lot, and then action always happens here. Septid getting pinched on. Throws on the poison, trying to trade back in onto Candy, but walks into the face of Winged. Doesn't flash in.
Yeah, only uses Cleanse. Being shadowed by Malrang. Again, we say this a lot. It is a challenger game, so less people are watching, but not the day to play Korean solo queue.
I was thinking about streaming after this, too.
And now you know better.
Yeah, I know. You know what? I'm just going to pick Jayce. I'll just take it in the top or the mid lane, and then they can't run it in the jungle.
Well, you got to get your Korean skills ready to request the Jayce, because someone else locking it in for jungle before you pick.
All right, I've had some interesting games as of late.
Tracker's Knife, the first. No, the early part of the... I mean, honestly, the build is pretty straightforward. Remember that Jungle Jayce, you know, I was never seen in competitive, I don't believe. I'm sure someone who's from one of the former wildcard regions could maybe correct me. I don't believe it's ever been played professionally, but it is better than it was in the past, even when Jayce's numbers were higher, because remember, the reliance on tier isn't there, so mana sustain is a lot more straightforward for the Jayce, getting through the jungle when his mana costs were buffed recently.
Well, straight into the face. That shock blast there. Candy gets chunked down, Winged now, joining in the mid lane, but can't do a whole lot of anything, and Ella was already prepared with the roam up.
DJ trying to clear vision. We can maybe take our eyes off the Jayce pick for a moment and talk about what these comps are trying to do. Everate sets up under turrets pretty well, as Jayce and Ashe can delete them, and they have Gragas and Cassiopeia poison zone. Try and take those turrets, where CJ looking to make the true 1-3-1 happen. Taking an early turret, big for CJ. They can just have Ezreal building up his tier in the mid lane while the 1-3-1 starts with Candy and Soul. That is definitely going to be their main goal in the early game. So look for them to really rotate around turret dives to try and end the laning phase in either top or bot and start their rotations, because 1-3-1 heavily favors CJN.
Steady as she goes thus far. Duel coming out on top as far as the CS is concerned in the bottom lane. Veritas going for that early tier. This time around, not going to be seeing any of that Vamp Scepter like we saw earlier on. You can see the clear speed here. Not going to be fantastic from Malrang. 22 to 43 CS as Winged is up ahead of him. So
Septid knows not to play too close to the wall when Graves could be around. Graves is level 6, so the burst is probably more than half Sept's HP bar if he gets hit with everything.
Yeah, couple that with the Distortion and the Sigil coming out of Candy, and it's probably going to be a dead Cassiopeia. Dashing forward, Wing comes over the wall. Septid goes quite low, tosses out that Petrifying Gaze. Won't get the lock up in onto Wing, but Shock Blast knocks him down pretty significantly. Have to respect him, though. He is level 6, has that collateral damage.
Flash and collateral damage up, so no threat of being all in. Continue to play up as he wants to steal away the enemy red buff.
Yeah, getting ready to spawn here shortly. Throws down the ward over the wall, though, not wanting to commit in for it yet.
That's why Malrang actually changed his pathing. Was going to run straight to blue, then realizes that his red might be stolen, so straddling the line between both.
Hovering around, but actually might just find the Graves yet again. Now that he's dashed into the brush here. And now it's going to be the chain coming down, Septid low. Collateral damage could finish him off, but a nice run to the side takes him out to safety. Now the jump in from Malrang gets the E off onto Wing, popping him away as the Stand United will not be completed.
Yeah, mistake from Septid, actually. Cleansed too early on the chain. Still had the reduced duration that comes through from the cleanse passive. Was able to get out.
Keeps himself alive, but that's going to be a flash down for the Cassiopeia. Still first blood eluding us.
Farming phase, to me, suits the Graves pretty swimmingly. Graves can itemize into being a true frontliner in team fights and DPS and to some degree tank threat, whereas Jayce's itemization is usually pretty limited in that regard. I imagine he'll go lethality from the jungle, but we do have precisely 0 data points to draw from.
Start looking at LP.GG, look at some Jayce jungle games. Try to give you the best stats I can get.
Definitely couldn't again, it would be in the infancy or in a non-LCS region. I'd remember if it was played. At least I'd like to think I'd remember if it was played ever in LCS. Feels like the only time where it could be played in the jungle, it was so good in lanes that there was no real reason to flex it like that.
Especially back in the day. I mean, you already talked about the tier of the goddess, but being able to get the free stacks from just changing your stance.
Tier junglers
absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, in the Nidalee days where tier Nidalee was common, there was never a jungle Jayce as far as I remember, but willing to be corrected, so please be vigilant and tweet at us if you can remember any professional games of jungle Jayce. Suffice to say, hasn't been played much.
Oh, hello. All wrong. Landing a couple there. You're going to mitigate a lot of that damage with his own shield. The skies forward, looking for wings, low on mana. Ease him back up the river, trying to get the hits in, slowing him up with the red buff. Wild Growth comes through, pops him up, and that's going to be the first blood coming through. Malrong claims it on the Jayce.
And you have to think it was a confidence draft, and then confidence by actually ended up hammer hitting him out of the Ash Arrow, but didn't matter. He's invested in an extra ultimate and picked it up in the mid lane. Also, Candy taking a lot of trade damage.
Yeah, just getting destroyed by Septed at the moment.
Hasn't gone respectful in the itemization at all.
No, go for it, Malrong. I thought he was going to wrap around trying to find the Shock Blast.
He wouldn't have killed.
A bit damn close, though. Might have been enough to force a flash.
Sure.
Knee-jerk reaction, perhaps.
Speaking of jerks, Malrong just walks up and does the thing that mid lane Jayces do when they get ahead. Go by a lane, drive by chunk someone, and head back to mid lane.
Just get some damage down onto the turret for now. Get too much more outside of that. You're getting slowed up by the miasma. But don't want to dive in with just that Jayce. No to the skies over the wall. That'll just be the recall coming out. Mountain Drake, I thought maybe we would see started off the backside of the pick on the winged, but they just let that one stand for a bit longer.
One of the fun things about this particular game to draft jungle Jayce is that before the turrets go down on the perspective of CJ, you can basically do a Graves jungle impression in even a more superior fashion because, hey, Jayce's ganks, situational, can work, don't always work. Jayce's ability to take down a turret if you have the extra vision, harass people away from the turret is massive. So the turret DPSing game is possible.
Oh, lockdown, nice petrifying gaze there from Septed. James will not connect, he barely lives through the collateral damage. Again, Stand United used, not going to connect as Helper tosses out that explosive cast. Big Shock Blast in on the wing, not enough to take him down, but enough to threaten him back to the base you would have to expect. Well, down bot. That's going to be the Ash Arrow thrown out. Veritas has to flash away.
And this series definitely has the most cancelled Shen ultimates of all time. We're at 4 so
all
far.
by Soul.
Yep. So, 6 strategies are the best way for us to look at it at this point. Jayce is back again.
Yeah, Tri-Brush ordered out. Finds a hit onto Pure. Can't make his way in close enough. Doesn't want to go under the tower yet again.
Summon is up as well. Helper may have overextended too far.
Soul trying to get some revenge from having yet another Stand United foiled here. Two-shot barrage tossed out, just trying to clear out that wave in bot. Looks like it'll do what's necessary for the most part. Pure goes low, though. More Shock Blast. Accelerated or not would finish him off. So he just goes ahead, peels all the way back towards the tier 2.
Yeah, Malrong, like we say, he's going for the lane push. It reminds me of a long time ago when Insect played the jungle Nasus and just walked up and pushed lanes. They can do so much fast pushing, insane pushing ability with 3-point hyperdrive Jayce.
Well, wave clear now coming through.
That's why they invest Septed as well to try and take over this lane. As that Blanc is walking very suspiciously, so they know it's the clone.
Oh, Wing getting found, takes a lot of damage. Well, I thought he was going to commit in for that one. Honestly, would have been the kill. If not, just a flash away from the Graves. They delay a little bit longer. Shock Blast barely misses. And Ash Arrow almost available here for duel. We'll see how long they want to stick around in the bottom lane.
I feel like we're robbed of interviews, that we won't have an interview with Malrong about the jungle Jayce, but hopefully Omos or Inven will pick up the slack and ask him about it. It's very situational. You have to have a really good understanding of your lanes and vision to be able to play this basically annoyance game of looking for the turrets over anything else.
Petrifying Gaze. Not going to find the connection, but Ash Arrow comes through. They find Veritas. Shock Blast body blocked here by Pure. The exhaust comes down.
Double teleport.
Now all the teleports coming through. His Helper about to arrive as well. Cancels his in the last second. Now CJ Entis will have the upper hand. Chain comes down. Malrong going to get flash taunted in by Soul. Gets a smack in, knocking him underneath the turret, but won't be enough damage to follow up to take him out. Helper just going to try to buy some time and get some damage down onto that turret. at the moment, but a nice kill picked up here for CJ, finally putting themselves on the board and keeping the gold very close.
It's a big swing if they're able to take a turret. Remember how low the bot lane turret had gotten.
There's no minions in mid.
Wild Growth not used. May have been a mana problem, couldn't tell as the actual killing blow came through, but it will be first brick over to CJ against the run of play, sticking the landing on investing double teleport.
Yep.
You got that all-important objective.
Setting themselves up into a lead, and they could honestly just rotate over and take that Mountain Drake if they so choose. Turret and bottom just so close to going down, but they turn that one on its head. It's a 1,200 gold lead. About a 1,000 gold lead now here in favor of CJ.
Not a standing gold, but we talked about how important it was when you run double teleport, as CJ is, in terms of opening the map. So taking down the first turret, now being able to park LeBlanc in a side lane where she can safely wave clear is pretty massive for the side of CJ. And yeah, well, passing the window where this jungle Jayce will be at its strongest. If ever he has to respect being collapsed on, then suddenly overextending for turret damage will no longer be a possibility for the jungle Jayce. And Jayce's pick has always fallen off coming into the late game as the poke damage falls behind, and his item timings will be delayed. Warrior Enchant is no longer any semblance of armor penetration or lethality. It's only cooldown reduction, so it does feel like they have to be very precise on their timings to justify the jungle Jayce.
Well, for now, still going to be very close. If they can knock down that turret and bot, they would just about retake that gold lead here. Keep things extremely even. Now poking around here in the mid lane. Shock Plus coming through. See, chunking down Veritas about 30% at a time. Not that big burst that you typically see from those lane Jayces.
Veritas doesn't have Blade of the Ruin King yet, so doesn't have the lifesteal to trivialize the 30%.
Well, that's going to be Mountain Drake going over to CJ Entis. The wards around that top side of the bottom river. Just so much vision provided to them. So perfectly safe to go ahead and take this one away. Looks like it's going to be a Cloud Drake, I believe, to follow up. Now they're going to be looking for this top turret. You mentioned how much they can shred these down. You can see it right there as it's knocked down below half HP.
Would have loved a way to pick up a Mountain Drake, but didn't find one. They are, however, giving up control around the mid lane. Cassiopeia's wave clear will stop the first minion wave from being the one to take it down, but the next one you have to think will get it done.
Duel will be able to go ahead and get this one conceded over by Salt. Thought maybe he'd go in for the taunt.
Luckily, it suddenly is completely equal.
Yeah, just a bit of back and forth here. Shock Blast not finding its mark. Looking for Veritas with that poke. Won't be able to find it. Dashes very aggressively forward into Septid's face. Thought maybe we'd see the Petrifying Gaze. Try to lock him up, but no one else near enough to try to capitalize on that play, so he holds on to it.
Wanted to see the minion wave stay as full as possible so that you get a damage trade onto Cassiopeia, then turn it into this mid lane turret that so far has eluded them. Equal in gold between the junglers, and Graves does scale better with items than Jayce does, at least in terms of team fight.
Barrage out, just trying to keep the waves from pushing in. Recalls will come out for CJ. You can see Candy actually rotating up towards that top side of the map where the turret's been taken, has that Gunblade ready to go. Feeling confident to duel whoever goes towards him.
This meta, it's so rare to have Jayce on your team and also a true tank. They kind of have a bit of everything. A true tank frontliner, a long-range poke and turret taker, and then Cassiopeia, a team fight champion. A duelist as well, so they have a bit of everything on the side of Everate, but don't necessarily have a specialization. Whereas CJ have the 1-3-1 comp with good team fight options as well. Standing gold largely taken now. Low health mid lane turret, the last point of pressure for Everate.
Candy's going to get a decent push here, as well as Winged. He joins in.
Nothing Helper can do.
Yeah, he's going to have to let this one go. I mean, basically would be walking up to toss out the explosive cask. Comes back in, yeah, the turret will go down, but Everate, they're happy to trade this out for the mid lane turret. They find the hit. Stand United coming through. Balrog doesn't want to push too much further lest he get taunted. They will go ahead and kite back and continue to defend this mid lane tier 1 turret.
The turret down. First goal always for a Jayce comp, but only a single turret advantage. Would have loved to get that Mountain Drake that was claimed by CJ. Thanks, Korean Jayce.
He says the same thing, but it just sounds cooler.
It does. Slightly different pitch to the voice, and also the transformation of the skin as well, the voice modifier. Soul Reaver Jayce, I believe, is that right? I know it's Soul Reaver Draven who also has the same voice modulation. Full Metal Jayce?
That's Full Metal, yeah.
Okay. Skin names.
Yep.
I failed the test. Sorry, OGN Legion.
He's got a couple different ones at this point. Personally, I prefer his newest one, the Archangel-looking one.
It's no Debonair.
It's not Debonair, but it looks pretty cool. I like it because his armor almost looks like he's like a dressed-down Marine from Warhammer 40K.
Not quite as on the nose.
Very
as,
angelic.
Not quite as on the nose the Garen skin, where he really looks like 40K. His release skin. I want to say it's Sanguine Garen. Does that sound right? That was a long time ago. We're talking 2010 skin names.
I don't remember which one.
You can look it up.
Which is,
on the screen, we're seeing a teleport come in onto the side of CJ. They really want to lock down Helper as he's split pushing.
You know, the explosive cast comes back. That creates a little bit of distance.
No one on his side of the map.
Yeah, he's going to get tethered down. He's going to get taken out. True shot barrage almost claims the kill, but at least it gets the assist in onto Veritas.
Right, we'll try and square up the map. That's their big hope. As Winged's caught.
Ashera comes through, and actually the red buff gets taken away here by Malrong. Dashing in, now comes up with a kill. Good little collapse
They turn onto the turret. Watch this turret go away.
Yeah, they're going to be looking for this one rather quickly. Here from the sidelines, trying to offer up what wave clear he can with those mantra Qs. Turret goes low. A couple more hits would finish it off. They actually have to kite
agree
back.
to stay on it, so it's smart of them to back away. It's not going to regen, so no big deal there.
I think you're thinking of the Steel Legion here, by the way.
No, that was a later one.
Getting locked down. Wildgrowth comes through onto the Lulu, keeping himself alive.
Use the clone there to dodge some damage. One day we'll see a Garen. Faker will bring it out in the mid lane. Faker's already experienced the Garen. You remember Peke played mid lane Garen at All-Star last year. That was the game.
I mean, we have Renekton in the meta.
Fisher and I sat down for a EU LCS versus LCK game and got mid lane Garen. It was good times. Good accuracy coming through from Duel on the arrow, and everything registered. Ella had to flash, but Polymorph met no sort of escape coming through from Winged. Got most of the turret. They'll return to it soon to pick it up finally.
It's a good multi-purpose shock blast red buff into the damage. Help come up with that one. So Everraid at the moment still hovering in a lead, about 1,000 gold up. Nearly have that tier 2 turret in the mid lane. But for now, it's going to be starting to prioritize vision control around that Baron. You can see the control ward inside the pit there for CJ. They have a very good vision at the moment, but that scrying plant does come out, so they'll be able to clear out quite a bit of it.
Only meaningful gold lead is for Duel. The 80 carry, about 1,000 gold up on Veritas. He's gone super, super defensive on his build.
Yeah.
No play the Ruin King at all in the first 2 item purchases. Makes it feel like a foregone meta.
Looking on the Trinity Force, already has the Mura mana ready to go, but having to divert the build into that QSS really is costly as far as his damage is concerned.
We're starting to lose the trades against Tiamat Shen.
As you might expect. So even with a Spirit of Visage and that sustain coming up from the Gragas kit, it's not going to be enough.
Lose the trades is also a dramatic thing to say that he's getting slightly chunked out.
Yet another stop on that push in the mid lane as they try to hold on to that turret.
So let's talk about what we're not seeing from CJ, because I talked about how strong their 1-3-1 is and how there wasn't clean answers for Everett winners with the mid lane Cassiopeia. The vision coverage to make this work is really not there. They have no advanced vision on the side of Everett winners, which means Candy's at risk every time he pushes up, as we just see demonstrated on the screen. You can take a couple more liberties with Soul when it comes to the Shen on the other side of the map, but they can't really play 1-3-1 if they have no extra information, and for now, they're kind of running a 1-3-1 comp and just kind of milling around as groups of 4 or 5. Which kind of defeats the purpose of the draft for CJ Entus. Need to see them putting down some vision. Would require both Graves and Karma to go on a vision quest, you'd have to say.
Well, this is starting to look like it's going to be one of those games that's decided by the Baron.
Yep. I mean, honestly, you win a team fight and Jayce Ashe murders turrets, so the Baron also will go down quickly.
Jayce, Ashe, and Cassiopeia will destroy Baron. Oh, pushing forward.
QSS on the Ezreal means the target selection there is not ideal.
Yeah. Well, not going to be able to go for it. Don't even waste their time. They're just getting rid of some of these control wards around the map.
And let's be clear, there is thought behind this QSS. Having the QSS means that in the 1-3-1, Ezreal can actually walk up to wave clear without just dying to Ashe ultimate into Gragas ultimate. So I can track the logic there, but it does slow down the build pretty heavily. Doesn't have the lifesteal to be taking accelerated shock blast too often. Shen ultimate was used, but predictably, unfortunately for Soul today.
Oh boy, Duel pushing forward. Really rips through Veritas. The shield comes out from Pure, keeping him alive. Doesn't have to use the heal or the flash, but still. Great skirmishing out by the Ashe.
Veritas will recall in a brush. Won't be taken down, although cancels it.
He's sticking around. At least for the moment. Looking for Duel, maybe a collapse onto him. Soul shows himself though, so Duel should be safe. Meanwhile, Malrung, yeah, gonna get locked down with the chain. Even with the flash coming through, and now the taunt lands in onto the Ashe as he tries to kite it back. We'll have to exit through the river. So that dodge field comes down, but now with the Jayce taken out, bit of a window here for CJ. Maybe to try to knock down this turret.
Baron is no longer realistic if they don't start it straight away. Only 25 seconds at this juncture for Malrung to respawn, but
only other thing they could go for is the Cloud Drake.
Not the best options there, and Everraid actually will be the team to start off this Cloud Drake as Shen removes his shield.
Gonna go ahead, roll the dice.
His
See what they
sword.
can get next. Candy's got that wave moving up top, so Septid will have to go and answer this.
But the fact that the vision doesn't really exist in any meaningful way apart from a smattering of wards means that Septid can pretty confidently walk from bot lane to top, so mid lane to top lane without being punished.
Oh hell yeah, you unlocked another Cloud Drake.
Yay! See the replay, and well, Candy hit a spell rotation and Malrung died, which is a Jayce story if I ever heard one. No sign of a Hex Drinker. Gonna be just going for the Black Cleaver, going pretty lane Jayce in the build, as you'd imagine. Still jury out on the jungle Jayce. They've done some cool stuff with it, but is it worth replacing another jungle choice with the Jayce? That part I'm not so sure.
Yeah, it's seeming like probably not.
Remember, they picked Jayce when LeBlanc was already locked in, so if it was wanting a better matchup in mid, they could have done that at a different juncture.
Well, something tells me they didn't MVP their way into a jungle chase. This had to have been intended.
Yeah, MVP famously said they wanted to put Rengar support, then thought better of it and went with top lane Rengar.
It's like, why not? ADD, just have fun.
That's up there with Wraith's famous, well, there was nothing left after they banned away my champion, so I had to go Lux.
They banned Lux and Thresh, so they banned, was it Karma Thresh?
Yeah.
Yeah, they banned Karma Thresh, so I have to go Lux. Says the guy who's played Pale and Leona support as well.
Big investment here. Once again, another teleport coming through. They want to assassinate Helper across map again.
Yeah, this is going to be Candy. Explosive cast does come down, but Helper still, the odds of him getting away, very slim, but they at least draw the flash out of Soul for all of this. So TP and flash down to kill the Gragas.
Really don't know what exactly that does, given that Gragas has teleport. So
yeah, honestly, I think that's almost a trade up there for Everraid.
Yeah, they remove one teleport. Now there's only, and the flash also from Shen. So suddenly, Duel can walk up further in a fight. Doesn't have to respect taunt flash. Will they get finally the outer mid lane turret for it? Even then, you're like, okay, decent trade, but optimistic for a 28-minute trade. Help us back on the map in 20 seconds with teleports. So windows are pretty small here for the side of CJ.
Wrap around to the back here from Candy. That's going to be the Stand United. Using onto the LeBlanc as he jumps forward, looking for Septid. He gets the Petrifying Gaze down onto Pure. Almost trades the kill, but the shields come out in time, and he goes down. Picked up by Veritas. This turret will fall. And Malrung will get taken out. Nothing that he could really do. Falls in the end, and CJ, 2 picks. The Smite gone yet again for 40 seconds this time. This could be a Baron opening for CJ Entis.
Yeah, Malrung too far up. Septid understandable, was surprised by LeBlanc coming through, but Malrung did not have to die as well, was never going to turn around to fight. So Helper's going to teleport in. 3v5. Baron already down to 5,000 health.
It'll be one hell of a play here for them to stop this Baron or to take this one away. They're firing off onto Soul. He goes low. Duel making work with this Ashe. He goes forward into the backside. Candy immediately gets body slammed, goes low. The shield comes out, but the Baron finishes him off, and Helper comes up with the kill. Now firing away. They get rid of Soul. That's a double kill. Can he find more?
Baby!
The body slam, the triple, the quadra kill over to Duel and Ever8. The 3v5. They turn it around, and now they can take the Baron for themselves.
Duel ran wild in the fight with the Lulu speed up. Everyone DPSing down Baron. LeBlanc tried to be tricky, but died to the Baron auto attack. Was out of the fight one way or the other. And now it's suddenly a free Baron, and suddenly may condemn CJ to another season in Challenger.
The 3v5 at Baron, a CJ Entis story. They come out very much on the opposite side of that. And Ever8, yet again, just take control of the game.
There's not much health and armor items on CJ, but there's plenty of health when they start the Baron. But look how long they decide to tank up Baron before they finally make the call to turn. They had full health on multiple members, and then they just free order whoever was safest. It ended up being Soul, who no longer was a frontline on the Shen, and it's just a calamity from the side of CJ Entis. The sort of play where if it condemns you to Challenger, maybe that's where you deserve to be, as suddenly Jayce jungle team now has Baron buff on, I believe, at least 4 members, maybe 5. This could just be all she wrote for CJ Entis.
It's really looking that way. It would take a miracle to bring themselves back into this game. I mean, the gold lead isn't that massive, but now with the Baron buff, it's going to be stretched, you'd have to expect.
Whenever a poke comp, which I wouldn't really call this a poke comp, but it has strong poke in, it gets Baron, Gragas just walks between and the turrets, and what are you to do? It's going to be free turret takes. There's no wave clear to speak of. LeBlanc's W in is going to be met with probably an instant death, so honestly all they can do is watch, short of a QR from the winged on the Graves.
Only one more inner turret standing in the top lane as they look for this inhibitor one in the bottom side. Soul getting chunked out, goes low, has to back off towards that fountain, doesn't have a GA. The poke is just coming through Veritas, knocked down to half as Malrong might not be able to do too much as far as the ganks go in this game, but poke coming down is pretty substantial. Redemption pops it back up. Candy goes to the back line, immediately gets body slammed to take it out as Malrong finds the kill. Soul guiding his way back as best as he can with the Shadow Dash. They just have to concede this inhib. It goes down, and
they may concede the game.
they just want to go for this one. Yeah, there's no LeBlanc for 40 seconds. Ever8, they want to go for the finish. Lockdown wing. He jumps away. The shock blast won't connect, won't finish him off. Wave has been thinned out. Helper tanking up for the most part, has the shields from Ella to keep him healthy as they take down that first Nexus turret, but that likely will be the disengage as the Lulu and the Ashe are both very weak.
Respawn 18 seconds out from Candy. Smart move to back away here for Ever8 winners. A lot of gold, over 1,000 on each member. No pressure to overstay. So looking for a pick on the backside, not to find it.
Yep.
And we're, I mean, I hazard to say a team fight. We're basically a stiff breeze away from CJ's last structures being blown over, and them having the craziest whirlwind of going 14-0, dropping 4 maps all season, and then suffering the double best-of-3 loss and elimination from the promotion tournament on the first day of Asking. The last team to suffer that when it came to losing both matches on the first day of the promotion tournament was Spenu Korea, who disbanded over the course of the post-World season. And while I don't know about CJ disbanding, hard to really justify the amount of stars on this lineup, at least relative for Challenger, if they're going to choke at the first time of Asking and lose out on the first day of the promotion tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, even if the team does stay together, if a lot of these members do leave for other territories.
And look, choking is a strong word to use because the analysts were saying CJ and Ever8 are a level below Jinair and Kongdu Monster. Based on their macro play and the level of opposition in the Challenger League. But again, players here have individually looked pretty good on decent teams. Veritas on Unicorns of Love was not a star, but he was a good player. Winged and Pure have been good role players on decent teams as well, so they should, at least on paper, do well in Challenger. They did that part, but going out like this is not part of the playbook for CJ Entis.
Certainly is not, but Well, they need to throw that playbook in the trash. They're going to start with a taunt here onto Duel, who's kiting back. Doesn't quite make it into the redemption, so still is rather low, but they find Soul. Accepted takes him down. Candy just trying to poke in from the sidelines, trying to find an entry to assassinate a member of Ever 8, but he just cannot find it. Has to go and answer these super creeps that are about to push in onto that final standing Nexus turret. So he gets drawn away. The rest of Ever 8 will kite backward. No Ocean Drakes, no real ways of regaining their HP, but they're still going to be sticking around, trying to knock down this inhib turret in the top lane. It seems like they might just have to let it go.
Yeah, well repelled by CJ Entus. Good defensive formation, denies auto attacks from either the Jayce or the Ashe. And LeBlanc's wave clear was one of the standbys even after her W damage was adjusted so far downwards. One of the true reasons we still see her in the meta is the power of, pushing power of TP LeBlanc, as we see a replay went all in onto Duel to try and get the first pick. Duel, who did turn the fight so deftly around the Baron, and launched Ever 8 into the advantage, but Soul falls down. The chunk out is still successful. No objective is taken off the back of the one pick, and we saw CJ overinvest in picks earlier in this series to no gain. Ever 8 this time, for once, do not advance their position, getting a member of CJ in.
I mean, it could have been really different, honestly, if Duel had gotten inside of that redemption in time. Just taken way too low. If he had gotten that burst of healing in, then maybe you can see a different story. Maybe we would have seen the end of the game there in favor of Ever 8. But for now, CJ, they persevere, they hold on for a bit longer, but it's still a 6.6 thousand gold deficit that they are in, with hardly anything to their name outside of a Mountain Drake.
We'll see if the items can really change anything as Marang gets out and does draw both Flash and Stand United out of the side of CJ.
Yep, so very nice takeaways there. Albeit inadvertent, but still, it's going to be a welcome sight. Barrel roll not going to find the takeaway on that red buff, so Veritas will have that.
This is the kind of game where Veritas could carry. He's at 3 items, probably looking for some armor penetration next. Still a game he could carry. Jungle Jayce is still Jayce when it comes to late game fights, so not out of the realm of possibility, but Ultra backs against the wall. That particular metaphor is getting a lot of use today, but understandable when loss means confirmed spot into Challenger for the summer season.
Now the pressure coming out. Super Creep still on the bottom side of the map, just drawing CJ further and further away from that Baron that's going to be spawning in 10 seconds. Well, as I say that, the inhib does come back up.
Good timing. Baron buff will die quickly, but if CJ can contest, there is still a team fight around Baron that is won by CJ Entus, as Ever 8 showed with the reverse of that.
Well, they start this up. Shot Barrage comes through to scout this out. Helper coming through with the teleport. Does he complete this? Yes, he does. He's able to body slam over the wall, and the Baron is just getting credit down for the rest of Ever 8. They are able to take this one away. Now Ashe Arrow coming through, finds Soul. Can they lock him up in time? Shadow Dash takes him out to safety. Shock Blast just tickling him on the way out, but another Baron over to Ever 8 to try to knock down these remaining structures. Waves already prepped in the top side of the map. Bottom lane pushing in as well.
Yeah, perfect teleport. Really liked it from Helper. With the spot, it wasn't overcommitting in terms of going to the enemy team, and tanky enough to put a seed of doubt and mean there was no chance of a steal from CJ.
Now, can they knock down this turret? Firing away, trying to get some damage down onto that Shen so he can frontline as comfortably as he has been. Nice shock blast in on the Veritas. Will be answered by the Redemption as they get popped back up with the turret, but the turret does go down. Creeps in the bottom side of the map, not exactly threatening that inhib, but just nothing CJ can do without that turret there to defend the one in top lane, so they do lose out on it.
One more attack, it looks like, is needed. They now have the base exposed in 2 areas. The hope and dream of CJ fans is really now a remote possibility. The 1-3-1 that was looking so powerful never truly happened in this game because of the misplay around Baron, where they allowed Duel to just run through like a hot knife through butter the whole team in the Baron fight. And now we're in this awkward spot where Ever 8 could just enter the last final turret that's alive in mid lane, take it down, and end the game, or just look for the percentage play and take the inhibitor in bot.
You see Veritas firing away. He's able to work down Helper to about half HP. So doing what he needs to, getting this early poke in before they go in for the fight. But still a lot of passive healing there available for the Gragas. Shields from Ella to mitigate. So Ever 8 will continue with the push. Creeps getting ready to move down towards where that tier 2 tower would have been about 10 minutes ago here. And the top side of the map will be threatened rather soon.
Speaking of threat, Winged already takes super low.
Look at Septed pushing it so far forward ahead of the rest of his team as they burn out that inhib. Minions very far away in the mid lane. They can just rotate over and start working those down as well. Yeah, about 30% left on that Baron buff.
2 inhibitors down. Veritas still working on his 4th item.
They're going for this. It's going to be the TP coming through from Candy. They want to fight this Elder Dragon. Know that it's the last-ditch effort. They have to fight this or else they lose the game. So pushing
fight
to
it
the
quick
top.
too. They can't allow super minions in the bottom lane to also start pushing.
Candy already in the pit. Helper body blocking and Balrog coming around from the side. Not there yet to offer up the smite, but will be able to get the wraparound. Candy goes in, looking for Septed, tosses the chain to the side, finds Jewel. Wild Growth will come down on top of the Cassiopeia. Elder Dragon down below 3,000 HP, but it leashes back in and might just be abandoned by both teams. The Super Creeps in onto the final Nexus turn. All Ever8 need to do is buy time, stop the recalls from coming through. They get the cast. In onto Candy. He dashes away, won't be inside of the Redemption. And now the Dragon going low yet again. Malrong goes in, gets the smite. Elder Dragon plus 2 buffs
dead.
over to Ever8, and they already have the kills coming through. The Ash Arrow doesn't need to connect. The kill is picked up by Malrong, who's fearlessly charging forward, trying to finish off the last 2 members of Veritas and Pure. They'll get taken down in the end. The chase too strong. The Super Creeps onto the Nexus, and Ever8 have done it. 41 minutes on the clock. They'll keep their hopes alive as they take down CJ Entus with a 2-0. And as for CJ, they are back in Challenger yet again.
The dreams of the CJ Entus fans are no longer relevant. Ever8 show that their win in the grand final of Challengers was no upset. And CJ Entus will not be joining us further, and that nostalgia gets further and further away every time they fail to make it to back to champions.
Yep. You can see here Veritas doing his damnedest with that Ezreal, coming out on top of the damage figures, but actually it was Malrong with the Jayce, just constantly offering up those accelerated shock blasts from the sidelines, chunking people out.
A pretty empty damage, let's be real. The 27,000 wasn't the factor there, but it was cool. It was different.
Away,
the flex nature of it is a question mark, because suddenly now you play against Ever8. If you lose that winner's best of 5 tomorrow, and you're like, those flexes are real.